Hey guys, I wanted to take the time to create a video kind of giving you a rundown of the software that I just created, Weight Wizard version 2.2. The reason it says 2.2 is because I've had over 202 different revisions. I've been working on this software for over a year now, and I finally have it completed. What this software does in essence is it can give you the ability to design a cue before you ever touch wood. Design a cue, and at the end of your inputs, it will provide you with how much the cue will weigh. It will give you your balance points. It will give you your balance point with butt only and with a button shaft combined. And let's see, scroll on down here. It's going to give you your target weights. For example, if you have a certain target weight that you're trying to reach, but the calculations come out a little heavy or a little light, you can click on target weight helper and type in what your target weight is intended to be, what you or your customer wants, and then click enter, and it will tell you what to correct, how to correct it, and the best approach to take to get it to that weight. Now, I want to go through this. I haven't filled in anything here, but I want to go through the program briefly to give you an introduction to it. Now, of course, this program does come with over 100-page, very detailed instruction manual and user manual, very user friendly. And I made it over 100 pages long just so I could really dive deep into each section and to answer any questions that you may come across. But let's start at the top left here. You're going to have your file, and when you click on file, you have three options really. One is to save the build, and the other is to load the build. So my software allows you to create a profile and then save it to your computer for later use. So you could save it as a template. If you come up with something that you like and it works out well and you're happy with it, you can save it as a template. The cool thing is you could also, if you're working with a customer, you can save this and send it to them in a PDF format with all of the outputs, which we'll see later. And then of course you have your load build, which is where you'd go back to your desktop and you would load the file you just saved, and then your exit. Now, in the description, you have the program description. It basically gives you a rundown of what this program is designed to do. Click OK. And then click on your quick tips. And then on your quick tips, it's going to give you a quick tip reference of how to use the software, best thing to implement, stuff like that. And then you have your materials. And the first thing you see under your materials is your manage materials. So bring that over, since I use two different desktops, two different monitors. You bring this over. Under your manage materials, you have add or edit custom materials. So you can type in is it going to be wood, or is it going to be synthetic? And then once you choose that, you type in the name of the wood that you'd like to call it, and you type in the density, and it tells you how to calculate the density for you. And then once you do that, you click on add update. Or if you don't like it anymore, just click on delete the selected. And what this does is it adds it to your current database, which I've already built for you. It contains it's the top 100 species that cue makers use. But this will add anything that you come across custom that is not in the database that you would like to have in the database. And then all you have to do to get your density, all you have to do is just cut a piece, and you measure the diameter. If it's round stock, you just measure the diameter of it, weigh it, and then you type in the weight, and it calculates it for you. Now I do have, let me get out of this, I do have a density calculator tool right here. You click on that, and again, I use two monitors, so let me bring this over here. The density calculator tool gives you the ability to do just what I had said earlier. You measure the wood, if it's going to be wood or synthetic, and then you type in a name, call it something, and then if the sample shape is round, then you type in the diameter and the length and the weight, and then if it's square, you type in the width, the height, the length, and then the weight. As simple as that. And once you do that, you click on calculate, and then it will give you what the density and volume and weight is. And then those numbers will give you the answers you need to fill in what we looked at just now. And then you have a help section and how to use the wizard. Click on that. And it's going to give you a quick rundown, a very brief rundown of how to use the wizard. And then you click on help again. It's going to tell you about, and of course, about's just saying that I made it and when it was made, what version it is, and stuff like that. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. We're going to walk through, and I don't have anything set, but I'm going to, as far as the cue design, but I'm going to just kind of build it along with you, and we'll see what we come up with. First section is section 1, called butt dimensions, and it's going to ask you, what is the finished butt length? What this means is, how long is this cue going to be when you're done with it, minus the joint pin? And in my case, I build 60-inch cues, so my butt dimension or diameter length is going to be 30 inches because I do a 30-30 split. And then it's going to say, what is the final butt end diameter? So whatever your butt cap diameter is, you type in there. And in my case, it is 1.24. And then what is the finished joint diameter? My joints are 0.840, so I type in 0.840. And then what is the overall cue length plus the butt? So that would be basically your butt, you put the shaft on it, how long is it? So it's going to be a 60-inch cue. Now I have something that's going to help us speed us along here. I have a pre-made file that I did do, and I'm going to go ahead and load that. Let me show you how that works. Click on File, and you save on Load Build. And when you click on Load Build, you just scroll down till you find your file that you saved previously, if you have one, you know. They come in really handy. Let's see, where is that file? Let me scroll down here. There we go, Cue Build Test. I did this one last night just to do this video. So I'll click on that. And it says that the build load was successful. And now you'll notice that all this stuff is populated. As I go down, everything is already populated for you based on what you put in last time. So the only thing that I didn't do last time is I never did the ring stack. So I'm going to walk you through this, and when I get to the ring stack, I'll actually type it in. So what we have to begin with is your section 1 butt dimensions. You're going, and this is the foundation. At the end of your inputs, it needs to match your numbers you put in here. So if you put a butt of 30, then these numbers that you add in down below these fields needs to be 30. Or it will throw up a red flag saying, hey, these numbers don't match, and it'll tell you what the difference is. So under section 2, shaft and components, what is the finished shaft weight? If you have a shaft that that's already finished and ready to go, and you can weigh it, you know how much it's going to be, you just type it in there, and average is going to be 3.75 to 4.25 ounces. But if you leave it blank, then it's going to just kind of ignore the shaft altogether. You can leave this section blank, and it will ignore the shaft altogether, and it will give you just your butt outputs. Now, in my situation, it's 3.75 ounce shaft, and the length of that shaft is 30 inches. And down here it says, what is the total weight of all other components in the butt, such as pins, wrap, bumper, etc., in ounces? What that section is it's asking you, whatever you have left to put into the cue that's not in this list, put it all together, set it on a scale, weigh it, and just input it right there. For example, you know, your your bumper and your joint pin, your A joint pin, your wrap, things like that. You just put it all together, set it on a scale, weigh it, and put in the weight. And then down here you have a ring stack designer and a raw material and ring weight, I mean. So your ring stack, you have two options on this. If you want to just take all of your rings, you already know what you're going to use, take all of your rings and stack them together and then measure the length. Then you would measure whatever the total length is, you just type it in right here. And here's where I want it to, I'm going to say 1 inch. All my rings put together is going to be 1 inch, so we'll say 1.0. And then what is the total ring weight? We're going to just, I'll throw a number out there. I'm going to say 1.2 ounces. And then we move on. Now, if you do not want to use this simple version, you can get more complicated and you can actually design your own ring stacks. Now, we're not going to do it on this one, but I will show you what it looks like. So just, if you don't want to use this, just click down to Open Ring Stack Designer, and then that is going to bring over this screen. And here, you can actually design your own ring stacks, and you can save them for later use. You can choose, well, let me start from the top here. It's going to ask you, it'll give you information on these little areas, but it's going to ask you the ring stack location. So where is the first ring going to go? And obviously it's going to be between the butt cap and the butt sleeve. And then you have 4 main sections of your rings. Between the butt cap and the butt sleeve, between the butt sleeve and the handle, between the handle and the forearm, and then finally between the forearm and the joint collar. And then the shaft is assumed to already have one. So you start with the first section, and then you can choose whatever ring you have laid out. You just kind of duplicate it and put it in here. You pick your wood, and we have plenty of woods to choose from that I've already preloaded with pre-weighted and everything else, and moisture contents. So if it's a wood, choose your wood. If it's a synthetic, again, I have that already preloaded. Choose a synthetic. If it's a metal or alloy, you can choose a metal or alloy and put that in there. And then you type in what your raw outside diameter is, typically going to be 1.375. You put that in there, and then you put your layer length, which is actually how wide is each individual ring, or the ring that you're putting in at that time. And then you put in your raw inside diameter. It's either going to be 0.750 or 0.625. And then at that point, it comes down here, it loads it up, and then down here is your permanent stack, and it'll build it as it goes. And again, this is cool because you can build preset rings that you're going to use multiple times, and you can save it to your database, and you can just recall it the next time that you build a cue. So let's see here. We're going to type in 1 for me, and then the raw weight is going to be 1.2, and then I'll scroll on down. Now, your butt cap is asking you what the material and the weight and the length is of your butt cap. So all you got to do is, what is right here, what is the final installation ready material length after facing the section off? That means that final size, already faced off, already cored, ready to go into the cue. How long is it? And then mine is going to be 1 inch. And then in what material are you using for the butt cap? You got wood options, you got synthetic options, and you have the same drop downs that I chose before. And we're going to pick, let's see here, let's go down to Elfrin. Click on Elfrin, and notice that the maple spalted pops up. If you click on something in the synthetics, the wood section is ignored, so don't worry about that. And then down below that, you type in what the approximate moisture content is. If you have a moisture meter, stick it in there, see what the moisture content is. That's how you're going to get the most accurate results. If you do not know the moisture content, you can leave it blank, but it will assume a moisture content of 12%. Now, ideally, depending on the material, we want to be between 8 and 9. But like I said, if you know the moisture content, type it in. If you don't, leave it blank. It'll auto-calculate based on 12%. And you move down to the butt sleeve, you do the same thing. What is the ready size for the butt sleeve? Mine is 3. You type in 3. And what material are you going to use? Same thing, drop down list, woods, type them in. And then the approximate moisture content, and type that in. Move down to the next section, your handle area. And what is the handle? And here's where things get a little bit interesting. What is the handle material length? finished, and mine is 12 after it's finished. And then what material are you going to use? In my case, Canadian hard rock maple. And then what is the appropriate moisture content? In my case, it was 6% at the time. And here's the cool part. It's going to ask you, is it solid material or have you cored it? And in my case, I clicked on cored, and then it asks you here what the core material is, and it was Canadian hard rock maple. And what is the core diameter? This is the actual size of the core going into the bore. So that would be 0.765 because I use a 0.775 gun drill. And then you go down to your forearm, and it's the same thing. What is the final installation ready material length facing off? And the forearm, of course, is going to be 12 inches for me. And then you pick a wood. Now, again, just to reiterate, the length of the forearm and all the other materials is the final size length after being faced off and ready to use. Diameter is irrelevant. So mine at final size and length rather is 12 inches. And then you pick your material, and in this case it was Gabon ebony, and approximate moisture content was 10 for me. And this is also cored, and you only have the cored option on the handle and the forearm. The joint collar and the butt cap and the butt sleeve are automatically presumed to be cored because they're going to have to be anyway. Then you get down to your last section, your joint collar. And my joint collar is 1 inch, so you type in 1 inch, and then you pick an option. I'm going to say, right now it says curly maple, but we're going to go with the Elferin since that's what we used last time. So you just scroll down to well, click on the synthetics first, and you scroll down to Elferin and click on that. And moisture content, synthetic materials, yes, they all have moisture, but it's not a measurable moisture, so I just type in 0. Once you get done with all that, here is where the magic happens. When you click on calculate my estimated Q weight, you're going to notice that all of this area down here is going to populate. Watch. Now, after we put everything in, this is where the magic is. It tells you what the estimated finished Q weight is, 19.58 ounces. And your butt balance point from the butt end is going to be 13.52 inches. And then your combined balance point with a shaft on it is going to be 19.55 inches. And then down here, you see a diagram of a Q. It doesn't have the taper, of course, but it's a nice clean bar, and it clearly shows you every segment that you put in there. And whatever measurement you change previously, these segments will move accordingly. And of course, this is your A joint right here. Now, it says butt BP. That's your butt balance point. This is the assumption that it does not have a shaft on it. If you do not have a shaft on your Q, on your butt, rather, this is where the balance point is going to be in relation to that A joint. If you put a shaft on the Q, then this is your Q BP, or Q balance point. And this is the balance point in relation to the A joint with the shaft put in. And then down at the bottom, it gives you a technical readout. Basically a section weight breakdown, and this is the butt only. Let's see. It's going to give you a recap of what you typed in earlier, like your butt cap's 1 inch and it's Elferin, and your butt sleeve is 3 inches ebony, and the handle is maple and it's 12 inches, and your forearm, it was Gabon ebony, 12 inches, and then the joint collar was 1 inch with Elferin. And then it'll list you the moisture contents that you typed in earlier, and then it's going to tell you what each one is going to weigh. And that's one cool aspect of this. But even better than that, it's going to tell you how much of the percentage of butt is it consuming as far as weight wise. So the butt cap is only taking up 2.7% of the butt's weight. The butt sleeve, 7.2. The handle is 23.2. The forearm, it always takes up the majority, which is 41. And then that's 41%. And then the joint collar takes up about 5%. And then that's basically it. I mean, there are other weight calculators out there, but, hands down, nothing as involving or as detailed or as accurate as this. As I said, I have spent a little over a year developing this software behind the scenes, and I have tested it, and I've had it beta tested by other cue makers, and it will give you results. If you type in the numbers, if you input accurate numbers, it's going to give you extremely accurate results. Where yes, there are other types of weight guesstimators, that's what I call them, out there, whether it be a spreadsheet or another simple program. I can't mention names, but there is another one floating around out there. But they all put you, the other programs, they all put you within a target weight of between a half of an ounce to 3/4 of an ounce, or even more sometimes. I've designed and developed this program to put you within 1/10 of an ounce. And I mean, literally 1/10 of an ounce. I mean, and you can't, you can't get any better than that. But at any rate, I wanted to give you a rundown, a brief description and visual video of the software. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you purchase it from me, and I hope you like it. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.